All right. It would appear the way this week is unfolding, the weather, if you believe the forecast or the weatherman, the wind, I think, is going to be a serious issue. That I don't think anyone really wants to be standing outside if the wind is howling about 20 to 25 miles an hour. It doesn't make it very conducive for standing outside with a pair of binoculars and observing birds in the wild. So with that, today we're just discussing that activity. And what you would vision, okay, this is a pigeon right here, really don't have any clear-cut design for following along to dissect a pigeon, but those are over in the fridge. And we have been talking about certain structures in there. I just want to see if some of these that are in this book that would be very similar to, and again, this is just a guide on what you would see, that when it comes to that of digestion, that's the first thing that comes to mind, okay? What is it? Avian digestive system is different than that of a mammalian, or you could even say reptilian, but mainly avian and mammalian digestive systems. What are some differences that you can think of that we have discussed? What does a bird have that mammals do not?
A gullet for breaking down food and processing it into waste balls.
Okay, you said gullet?
Yeah.
Okay, I think, isn't that on chickens, isn't that the little flap that's underneath their beak? That's what I would consider the gullet. Now,
I know it starts with G.
it does.
Close, though.
Yes. Okay, it has a Z in it though.
Guzzle?
Nope, gizzard. Okay, so mammals don't have gizzards. Humans don't have gizzards. Mammals and humans also don't have this other digestive structure. When we talk about oats and soybeans and corn, those.
The esophagus on a chicken.
Okay.
Transports food from the mouth to the stomach.
All right. So, what are those examples of? Corn, soybeans, oats, alfalfa. Those are different what in the field? Yeah, different crops. Okay. So birds also have a crop. Okay. Then there's going to be some similarities there between mammals and birds. Okay. You're going to have some sort of a stomach. A proventricularis, I think, is a different digestive organ that mammals don't have. It's just a place where digestion can be initiated after it leaves the crop, but as you had alluded to, it's broken down more so in the gizzard. They certainly have an intestine. Okay, so other structures you might be able to find would be that of a pancreas and that of the liver. We'll see if we can find the heart in there. And you'd also expect to see some of these flight muscles. Maybe not the supracoracoideus, but more so of that of the pectoralis. Now, how much time and effort are we going to put into this? Well, that remains to be seen. So again, we're just discussing that today. We'll look at the pigeons tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we may go outside. But again, if we follow the weather forecast, that's probably not going to happen. Then on Thursday and Friday, there's a list of birds that you'll be responsible for identifying, and you just look at the picture and say, oh, that is a ruby-throated nuthatch, or that is a Canadian jay, that is a blue jay, that is a raven, that is a crow, that is a red-tailed hawk, that is a blue heron, that is a sandhill crane, that is a Cooper's hawk, that's a sharp-shinned hawk, that is a tree sparrow, that's a house sparrow, that's a house finch. All of them have different markings on them. Okay, I should say all these different birds, of course, have different markings on them. And that's why you'll have that opportunity to see that on Thursday and Friday, as that is what you will be working on. You also have papers that are due on Thursday. Then I would be led to believe that next week will be devoted to reviewing and working on these bird identifications. And then maybe towards the end of next week, we'll get into the mammals. That is the plan. Now, is that the way it's going to unfold? That remains to be seen. I believe this is the only class that is affected by track. Let's see here. Today, of course, yes. Thursday, no. Tuesday, no. That would be April 12th we're talking about when we say Tuesday. And then April 14th, of course, that's where you go to Menno, and that is, of course, before school. So that would mean we'd want to get them out of the way on the 12th and 13th, which is a week from tomorrow and Thursday. So there's no guarantee we're going to get outside. We can't promise that, because I think there's probably, again, nothing worse than standing outside when it is really, really cold and it's just not very conducive to see different species of birds. Because when it's cold and windy, they're going to be probably bundled up just like we would want to be. All right, so that's how this week is going to unfold and where we're going at towards next week. Okay, that's just a preliminary explanation on where we're at and where we're going. Any questions on that at all? And you might not know what to ask. Okay, so that's all we're going to do for today. But and I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put that file in the drop folder. At least I'm going to attempt that. That bird identification has got ducks. It's got all those different types of birds, and you can go through there and work on those identifications. Okay, it's where you're going to want to look at, okay, if this is the name, like ruby-throated nuthatch, okay, use the name to be an indication on what type of bird that is. Okay, so what comes to mind when you hear ruby? What color, I mean? Okay, so if it's a ruby-throated nuthatch, in here you would see a color of what? Red or ruby. So use those different types of indications. Say, okay, that's a ruby-throated nuthatch. That's a Canadian jay. The beak is just a little different in a raven than what it is in a crow. Okay, so it's those subtle differences that you can look at. And the color, I think, is darker black, if that makes any sense. Ravens tend to be a little more gray. Maybe that's just how the light reflects off their feathers. But again, those are just indications that you can use to help you. And then there's about 10 species of ducks. Okay, so that's all I've got. I'm going to put that in the drop folder. Attempt that anyway, and we'll catch up to you next time.